When people ask a question on a YouTube title, the answer is almost always no. Did somebody do something outrageous? They play around with it, examine it, just get you to click, and the answer is always no. But I'm thinking, how would a title like, did women ruin comics? Yes. Or why white males are the best comic writers? First of all, let's go through this real quick. Captain Marvel 18, what a great cover that is. Really rocking them B cups. Fan freaking tastic. Overpowered character. She can do anything. Everyone involved's a bunch of idiots. She has to save some refugees. Gee, that's topical. From a Skrull, Kree, Hulk, gay alien with blonde hair and blue eyes. Because Drumpf, am I right? So refugees in Sanctuary City, and you're bad for wanting borders, heaven forbid. So she's accomplishes whatever she wants to accomplish, just completely effortlessly, and she's standing over the man who's bowing down to her. Why not just go down on her while you're at it? And, okay, everything is easy for her. Overpowered, ugly as possible. This is her half sister, who's built like a linebacker who ate the Hulk. That's okay. It looks pretty good. I mean, that one image is drawn very, very well. But anyway, so women ruined comics. Is that hyperbolic? Not exactly. It's more like pandering to women ruined comics. Everyone in comics is far left, fair enough. But left-wing guys in comics are different from lefty women. The men are still concerned about selling comics. Comics need to be good to sell. There is no magic trick around that. Multi-covers work for only so long. White guys in comics are the best because they have no privilege. If they didn't sell, they'd get fired. Mark Waid has no special status. He is a fat, bald writer. They are a glut on the market. If he gets fired, nobody will start a campaign to rehire him. Gail Simone got fired and rehired because of social media pressure from developmentally disabled Twitter kids. Firing a woman at DC and Marvel is difficult, but that is the opposite of what a business should do to stay in business. Are you a business or a charity? The reason they're in trouble is because they are running comics like a charity. If you wanted to tighten up the ship, you could just cancel the bottom third of the sellers and fire those underperformers. Captain America is selling in the low 20s because it absolutely sucks. It's written by someone who hates America and hates the reader. I'll say that. If you fired all the lower performers, you would probably get rid of all the women and the purse puppies. It wouldn't look as colorful without all the brown people, but it would start revitalizing the industry. Before you publicly hang me, DC and Marvel would just have to adopt a new policy of merit determined by sales. I know how abhorrent that sounds to SJWs. You must sell more than 40,000 or it's canceled and you get kicked to a lower tier company, back to the minor leagues of Image or Dark Knight. Marvel and DC used to be the best of the best. Now it's a charity for diversity hires. Nowhere in your articles of incorporation should you find the word diversity. Our goal is to sell as many comics as humanly possible. That is the core value. Give people what they, not what they say they want, but what they'll buy. Because people will go on Twitter, like these woke kids will go on Twitter and say they would buy the hell out of something if you somebody suggests or does a fan art of some just super woke thing, and the kids all go, oh, we would buy the hell out of that. No, you wouldn't, because woke stuff is already out there and you're not buying it. There's just not enough of you. And it's free to virtue signal. If you're a woman or a colored person of color and you are working in the industry, then you knew that you were the best of the best. If you're a purse puppy who's there now, you know that you're a diversity hire. Just look at your sales. You're selling 20,000 or even less, but the white guy is selling 40,000. Sure, you're happy to be there if you are Sana, Amanat, G. Willow, Wilson, Kelly Thomas, Kelly Sue, but you know that you're not as good as the fat, bald, old guy who has actual sales. Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, Shuri, Captain America, why are they still being made? because firing purse puppies is problematic. They weren't hired for sales, they were hired for narrative. Not the story within the pages, but the corporate story told on Twitter. Look at Vagrant Queen. It never sold well as a comic. Why would Sci-Fi Channel turn it into a show? The comic sucked and the show sucked. It went 7 episodes. I saw the first 2 because I thought I would do a weekly review on it. I couldn't. It was painful to watch. I felt embarrassed for the actors and everyone on the set. They knew that they were making crap. It starred, how do I say this, the highest ranking purse puppy available. That's usually a sign that a show is going to suck. I have a kind of a basic question here. If you're going to draw someone to look like a man, then why don't you just use a man? Does anyone ever just raise their hand and say, why are you guys doing this? Women don't look like this. Oh, well, space aliens do. Then what do the men look like? Because usually there's a sexual dimorphism. Are the men even bigger? Are they even scrawnier? Because usually all that muscle has a purpose. Anyway, a rule of thumb is write what you know. Mags is a hairy Italian. You are on safer ground if you write yourself as the main character. Writing a black chick is cringy. Make the black chick an ancillary character. You don't know the character as well as you know the eaters of pasta. Now, what I said would outrage SJWs if they were listening. But why? It's just the truth. Ask the SJWs a simple question. Hey, why did you make the Vagrant Queen a woman of color? A walk. In fact, why did you make her a she? It would be a better story if it was a vagrant prince. You send a smoking hot chick to get him back, they fall in love, and they save the kingdom together. Instead, it's a story about 2 lesbians. Nobody cares about lesbians. I don't think even lesbians care about lesbians. They're like 1% of the population. Now, what percentage of that percentage is into low-budget science fiction? Apparently not enough because the show bombed. People are laughing at DC, as well they should. Mike says it's mean to laugh at DC, but how can it be wrong when it feels so right? Women and all the other diversity hires diversified comics into bankruptcy. The sign that should have woken up the industry, well, 2 things. Firing and rehiring Gail Simone due to external pressure. The second was that industry symposium, the 2017 New York Comic Con, the Retailers Breakfast. The Mary Sue coverage of that was hysterical. Apparently, ageism and racism is okay when it's against men. The retailers basically said the woke and diverse stuff wasn't selling. It was hurting retailers. But the Mary Sue separated the valid criticism from the invalid criticism. Mary Sue's not retailers. The retailers are telling you what doesn't work. But the Mary Sue called them old white men whose views aren't valid. They are the most important people at the retailers' breakfast. The retailers. How are their views not valid? It's an absolute Joker world. The Mary Sue writer was shaking with rage. How dare somebody tell me views that don't echo mine? Yes, women ruined comics. As a blanket statement, that's pretty accurate. I'm not talking about, say, pre-1990, where if you were there, you might have been given the job for your diversity points, but you had to be good to keep it. Now, that is no longer the case. The milkshake girls are work girlfriends. I think Zach posted that picture of Valiant Comics when it started, 5 guys versus 20 years later, a diverse female mess. How's that for a title? If 5 white guys started something, then that is your winning formula. That's the chemistry that works. Don't mess with success. If the women were so good, they would have started their own company. They can't because they weren't good enough. Gail Simone, Heather Antos, and all the rest should just team up and start their own comic company. They could bring back Bitch Planet. That was a comic about obese WOC lesbians that got canceled halfway through. I think it was supposed to go 30 issues. It went like 15. But thankfully, a bunch of women, they rallied around this comic and they all went and got BP tattoos. Congratulations. Because everything SJWs do is ugly and mean-spirited. They have woke storyline and the art makes the women look like men. You can't go full retard. Cena Grace has ghosted in LA. The story is woke, but at least the art has the girls looking pretty. And the antagonist in the story is this Christian girl who's intolerant to her non-Christian lesbian roommate. Believe it or not, for some reason, gay SJWs don't write as woke as straight white females. Maybe because they already have oppression points. They don't have to virtue signal as loudly. Plus, they're men. There's still something in their core that they compels them to sell to try to do well. I use Captain Marvel 18 as an example, but there are tons of examples. Captain Marvel is barely a B cup. There is nothing visually appealing about her. She runs around, she does some stuff, whatever. Then they introduce the 7-foot-tall, 400-pound monster who is her half-sister. Why do comics fail? This is why comics fail. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. I'll see you all next episode.